You guys are asking me, respectfully, to speak on something that was a documentary that I had nothing to do with. I didn't make it.
The Nets have suspended Kyrie Irving for no less than 5 games.
I cannot be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from.
In your mind, you said, I didn't mean to cause any harm. Were you apologizing or did you not?
I didn't mean to cause any harm. I'm not the one that made the documentary.
His future in Brooklyn, I think it's fair to say, is unclear.
Let's bring in our Nets reporter, Nick Friedel, who joins us ahead of the Nets game against the Wizards tonight. Nick, we heard from Kevin Durant earlier in the show from Shoot-Around. We ran his tweet that clarified his stance. But what's your read on how Kevin Durant is handling this entire Kyrie situation?
Malika, I think Kevin offered a window into not only his psyche in the last couple days, but several of his teammates. Because he said every time he looks down at his phone now, everybody's got an opinion on this story. And for the Nets, once again, they are being overwhelmed by something that has nothing to do with basketball. I've talked to Kevin plenty through the years, having covered him at the end in Golden State there. He knows that the media cycle in the NBA is 24/7. It's nonstop. But at the same time, these guys are human beings too. And as much as they're hearing and as tough as it has been for everybody to process what's going on, I think Kevin, on a human level, was just expressing the frustration of having to go through it day after day after day.
So against that entire backdrop, how are the Nets preparing for tonight's basketball game? They actually have to go out and play against the Wizards.
They have to play with no Kyrie. With no Ben Simmons, who has a swollen knee, and Malika, that has gotten lost in the shuffle. That is a big problem for the Nets in the short-term future here. They're also going to be playing without Seth Curry. Having said that, I was at Shoot-Around watching how these guys are trying to prepare for this game. I think in this case, the floor in D.C. is going to be a sanctuary because they're so overwhelmed in frankly, just kind of stressed out by everything that's gone on within this organization, that playing basketball is going to be the easy part. And it could be potentially fun for the group to just get away from all the noise for a couple hours. But when you have that much talent that's off the floor, it's going to be a struggle for any team. In this case tonight, Malika, I'd look for a lot of KD. He always loves playing in D.C. It means a little something extra to him. And in this case, being one of the leaders of the group without Kyrie on the floor, he knows that at times he's going to have to take over even more.
You mentioned something that's so key. No Ben Simmons once again, with him missing this game and at least one more. That's going to bring the total to at least 4 games here. When are we going to see the Nets whole? Nick Friedel, thank you so much for joining us here on NBA Today. Now to Ramona Shelburne, who just reported a news story on Kyrie Irving and the Nets with senior NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski. And Ramona, I'm curious, reading this story, you detail the communication between Adam Silver and Nets owner Joe Tsai. What has transpired between Adam Silver, Joe Tsai, and the Nets in order to decide who governs this situation with Kyrie Irving?
Well, I think one of the bigger points is who Kyrie Irving was talking to, which is neither Adam Silver or Joseph Tsai. I mean, Joseph Tsai was at a point after the story after his first tweet came out. Okay, when Kyrie Irving tweets out the anti-Semitic film, Joe Tsai essentially condemns him the next day on Twitter. Says there's no place for this, and we have to condemn this. This is not this is not what we want for our organization. And Kyrie Irving doesn't talk to him. He sends a text message, doesn't respond to him. All the communication between the Nets and the league and Kyrie Irving went through his agent. And when you're having a story like this, when you have in this conflict where 2 statements have now been put out by Kyrie Irving, where it says the first statement was combining with the Anti-Defamation League. The second statement is what he put on Instagram last night. Those are written statements. But what he says in front of the cameras and what he didn't say to probably the only person in the world who was giving him a chance to make it right himself at that point. Joseph Tsai wanted to try to give him an opportunity to educate himself. He saw it as a teachable moment. Kyrie, through his agent, was saying the right things of, we'll talk to the Anti-Defamation League, I want to educate myself, I meant no harm. He was saying those things through his agent, but what he actually said in front of those cameras was really a betrayal of the opportunity that they had to have a healthy dialogue here, and they still haven't talked.
So So they still haven't talked. How does that end? What happens now?
Well, they outlined in an email to his agent the terms of the suspension and the things that Kyrie will have to do to even be considered as a member of the Nets again. And in that email were conditions of it has to be a real apology, and it has to disavow this film that he tweeted out. This film is now #1 on Amazon in several different categories, so the impact of his popularizing and promoting this film is felt far and wide. He has to very specifically denounce the anti-Semitism and the Holocaust denial in that film. Then he has to talk with Jewish and religious leaders about hate speech. Those are a lot of conditions, and they're very remedial conditions that Kyrie Irving has been informed of. Now, the apology he put forth on Instagram was a good start, but it's really just a start. And I think the 5-game suspension, the key words there are at least 5 games, because I think it'll be a lot longer than that for him to take all of the steps that they need him to take.
A lot longer than that, Ramona. Thank you very much for your reporting on this in its entirety. And I know you'll be back here soon on NBA Today with more. Some more news on Thursday. Charlotte Hornets restricted free agent Miles Bridges pleaded no contest to a felony domestic violence charge in Los Angeles Superior Court. And as part of the deal with prosecutors, he was sentenced to 3 years probation, but no jail time. Bridges was accused of assaulting his then girlfriend in front of their 2 young children in May. Bridges is currently unsigned, but according to our Bobby Marks, if he were to sign with the team, the NBA has the right to suspend, fine, dismiss, or disqualify him from the NBA because he pleaded no contest. The Charlotte Hornets said in a statement that they will, quote, continue to gather information before determining next steps. NBA Today will be right back.